Let's learn about plants. There are so many things we can learn about plants. In this video, we're going to just talk about some very basic things about plants. Things that you will need to know for the rest of our lessons this week. Let's take a look at the parts of a flower or the parts of the plant. We are going to follow along together. So take your finger and put it down at the bottom. Right there, those zigzag lines are called the roots. The roots of a plant help keep the plant in the ground, so when the wind blows, it isn't flying away. It also helps get all the nutrients and food from the soil that the plant will need. The next thing is that green stick or stem. The stem of the flower is right above the roots. The stem is like a straw. It helps take in the water and the nutrients that the roots are giving it and send it through the flower. Let's move our finger up to the next part of the flower. Those are the leaves. Now let's move our finger up to the yellow part of the flower. Do we know what the yellow part of the flower is called? Well, we do know that the bees can get the pollen from the middle part of the flower, or the nectar. But that's not where we're pointing to. We're pointing to the seeds. On this flower, the seeds are in the yellow part. Sometimes the seeds can be in other areas of the flower, but usually they are at the top. Now let's look at the red part of the flower. Those are the petals of the flower. The petals help protect the seed or the pollen. And finally, what we call that up on top is just the flower. Not all plants have flowers. Some plants are just all green. They have mostly leaves or stems. During this week, we are going to see lots of different types of plants. Plants are living things. They grow and they change. They need food and water to survive, just like we do. Plants do what all living things do. First, they are born. When something comes out of the seed, that is the plant being born. Sometimes we can't even see when the plant is being born because it is underground. Then plants grow. This is the part of the plant that we do see. This is when it comes above the soil and it starts to grow. It gets the stem and the leaves. And finally, plants reproduce. That means that one plant can make many plants. And the picture that is up there is showing how a plant can do that. It needs a bee's help. Or the wind, it needs to spread its seeds to other areas so more plants can grow. Like all living things, plants also have a life cycle. The first stage in the life cycle of a plant is the seed stage. All plants and flowers need seeds to grow. There needs to be seeds planted in water or soil, sometimes even sand, for it to start growing. The second stage in the life cycle of a plant is something called germination or sprouting. This is where something will come out of the seed, most likely the roots, and they will start to grow into the ground. This is part of the life cycle that we most likely can't see. The second stage in the life cycle of the plant is the sprouting or growing stage or baby plant stage. We can see here the roots underground, and then we see the plant starting to grow up top. Up top is what we can always see. Here is a picture of a seed that has sprouted and then also has the germination where the roots are starting to grow. And finally, after the plant grows and grows and grows, we have our adult plants. So the plants will either get a flower up top or they will just get bigger. There are three things that seeds need to grow and that plants need to survive. The first thing is water. Seeds will need the water to learn to grow, and then once the plant is grown, it still needs the water to survive. The next is sunlight. Sunlight is very important in helping those seeds grow and those plants stay alive. And finally, air. Plants couldn't grow inside a box. It needs air. So where can a plant get water? Think about that. Do you have an answer? Well, I'm going to tell you some of the answers I came up with. One is the rain. If a plant is an outdoor plant, or it's just living in a forest or a park, the rain will help it survive and help it grow. Another way, if it's a plant that you have in your house or if you grow it outside, you can use a watering can or a hose to water those plants. Where can a plant get sunlight? It seems like a very silly question because, of course, it's going to get it from the sun. If a plant is outside, it's going to be exposed to a lot of sun. But if a plant is inside, that's a little tricky. Do you know what you can do to make sure that your plant gets sun? If you said put it by the window, you would be correct. Most plants need the sun to survive. So by putting it by a window or near a window where it can see the sun is a great idea to help it stay alive. Some people even have these greenhouses. They might have it in their backyard, or you might see it on a farm or at a zoo. The greenhouses are made so the plants can get lots of sun, lots of water. Have you ever been to a greenhouse? Maybe we'll explore one this week. Now, where can a plant get air? Well, again, if the plant is outside, it's very easy. Air is all around it. If a plant is inside, how can we get air? Take a look at this picture. How are we giving the plant air? If you look at the picture, you can see that the plants are not right next to each other. There's a little space. It is not good to have your plants all next to each other, cramped and squished in. You need to give them space. That'll help the plant get air. And finally, if you open the window a little bit throughout the day, that's another good way to let your plants get some fresh air. It's also good for us too. Did you know that plants need food too? Now, they don't eat pizza or hamburgers or chicken nuggets like we do, but they do need some type of plant food to survive. If you remember earlier on, I talked about how the roots send up nutrients or plant food through the plant. Well, there's another way plants get their food. Plants have chlorophyll. It's a green pigment or color necessary for photosynthesis. Wow, those are two big words. We talked about chlorophyll and photosynthesis. Can you say the word chlorophyll? Great job. Now, chlorophyll is really a fancy word to say that's the green part of the leaf. Photosynthesis. Wow, That's a huge word. Well, photosynthesis is when the chlorophyll takes the heat from the sun and turns it into food. So the sun helps the plant get the food that it needs. Pretty cool. Now it's your turn to do some work. Later on, we'll be talking about facts. But for today, I want to see you draw me the three things that a plant needs to survive. Do you remember what they are? I'm going to help you. It's water, sunlight, and air. So I want you to draw those three things down so we don't forget them with all our lessons this week. Can you do that for me? And finally, you know to take a picture, send it to me on Dojo, or upload it to Google Classroom. Great job today, guys.